for me, it was always doing more than just that bird bath, you know, the Francis with the bird on his shoulder. And so I wanted to tell more of his story. Well, at the core, it's St. Francis, you know, for sure. I've been captivated by his story of simplicity, and basically the core of it is love your neighbor, and to share the feelings that I have received from Francis through the years to develop a place for the community. Something that's been evolving for, gosh, almost 20 years now. And so it's a pretty special place to come out here, and 6 acres big. And it's a garden. It just keeps growing. Well, people come for different reasons. Some people I meet out here and give tours to, and they want to hear the story. And so for them, you know, it's usually a nice, slow experience, learning about Francis. Other people who I'll never meet, that because I'm not out here all the time, that come out here and experience this nature, I would hope that they find some kind of peace, calming, letting go of the worry and the future of anxiety, and you know, everything that, with all the busyness of the world, I really wanted to encompass that here in the garden. So I'm hoping that people feel that, you know. Yeah, I mean, for Francis, you know, he struggled with that too, growing up a rich kid selling his father's fabrics, responsibility as a young adult, going into manhood to, you know, be a part of the family business, and then getting called off for battle. And when he got called by Jesus to open his heart to the common people around him, it had to be a struggle, you know, to get to it. So as he went through that, you know, when on the road, there's a sculpture I did, Francis on the road, and he's happy, he has no baggage, he's lost, he doesn't know what's going on, but he's putting faith in God that, you know, it's all going to work out. So he would journey out to those quiet places in nature and find that peace within his heart. This is Francis on the road. This is after he went off to battle and came back, and he was lost, trying to figure out what's going on in his life. Wasn't sure if he wanted to follow in his father's footsteps. So it's Francis on the road. He's got a big smile. He's got his walking stick. He's got his sandals on here, but eventually he gives the sandals up and just goes barefoot. But I love this piece just because it's that feeling of being in the now, and just all the worries are gone, even though he was probably worrying, but at that moment. So this sculpture is Francis rebuilding the Church of San Damiano, and basically it's a metaphor for rebuilding the Church of Christianity. That's the way I take it. So he's got this rock and he's holding it up and he's passing it along for the next person to take. And so I had the honor of presenting the original of this sculpture to Pope Benedict XVI, right in Rome at the Vatican. It's like a dream I never thought of would even be possible, but it happened, and it was timeless. And so then I had to resculpt it and put it in the garden when the time came. So this is the Plaza or Piazza San Damiano. So the Canticle of the Creatures was written at the end of Francis's life in his own hand, and it represents creation. So he wrote this because that's the way he lived life, was to respect all of nature, all of creation, and the human aspect of getting along with nature. And so I had to do this through the sculpture, and it really brought me to the core of nature. And it's so important, you know, with so much going on and so many people disrespect nature. So for me to create this piece and to have it in a peaceful garden setting, the Canticle of the Creatures is a nice place to reflect out here. It's called the Canticle of Brother Sun or Canticle of the Creatures, and um, it represents creation. You know, it talks about the elements of water and earth, Mother Nature, the wind, the fire, and death, how you embrace Sister Death, where it's your second death. And been made into hymns, I think, and it inspired Dante to write the Inferno because it was actually written in a vernacular. At that time, there was just Italian and Greek. And I came out and I had my chainsaw with me. I was looking to use something from nature to make this. So I came out and I looked right there and that tree had fallen down. So I took a piece of the trunk, and when I saw the original, it already had like these arms that were carved right in the wood, right in the stump. And so then I sculpted the hands right out of it, and then I added the bird here, and Francis is up here. And then I also have Francis and Brother Death down here. And he's sitting by a fire, and I've got a skull that represents contemplating the end of life. And then how do I attach it? You know, how do I get him to encompass all of creation in the world? So I've got the globe here, and then I've got these birds because I had to engineer it so it's secure out here, you know. And so I made all these doves, and they're holding up Francis as he's holding up basically the solar system of the sun, and then I've got the stars in there, brother sun, sister moon, and then around the other side it shows what a lot of people know of Francis and the animals, the patron saint of animals and ecology. So that kind of shows that, and it shows the meditation and the prayer that he practices with his brothers. So I got them in like caves on the other side. So it was quite a piece to do, and yeah. So I would imagine they're inspired by Francis because of his easy way of life and acceptance of all. He's he's pretty easy that way, right? Universal man of peace, and so everybody's going to have a different calling, I would think. But for the most part, it's it's remembering love. You know, it's like the prayer where there's hatred, let me so love, and that always sticks with people. And for me, it was always doing more than just that bird bath, you know, the Francis with the bird on his shoulder. And so I want to tell more of his story. So there's all these different stories through the garden that tell different aspects of his story that people have connected with. And so I would hope that as on their journey, that for me, it was a connection of bringing peace to myself through Jesus, who obviously Francis was kidnapped by, and Francis kidnapped my heart, and I can talk to people about Francis real easily, where they don't go, oh, okay, you know. So it's like Francis is kind of like a stepping stone to greater things, I think. Yeah. I mean, this statue initially did this for the first art prize, and I had it downtown Grand Rapids, and I had 12 of his, 12 of his disciples, his brothers that he would call them, his first followers, and they were all holding hands. And then I left one opening for everybody to be that 13th disciple to carry on the message. And so it's kind of what you were saying. It's almost, you know, we're ambassadors of, you know.